Hello and welcome. I would like to introduce you to little Mabel. Mabel is a shabby chic mini journal, so business card sized is probably a good reference. And Mabel has 6 signatures and about 100 pages to journal on. I have used antique beads on the signature strings. I typically do that because these beads have a hole big enough to pass the binding needle through. And it also adds some beautiful charm and value to the journal. I have used some trim, a little bit of bling, applique, fabric and lace sort of collaged on the cover. And there is some wool felt as the actual cover, and I've hand stitched that onto some vintage wallpaper around the edge, so there is some hand stitching. On the front I created a quilted heart closure, but instead of using eyelets I've just sewn the seam binding on with a mother of pearl button, and I added a little bit of inking to just tone in the colour because it was a white quilt, a white vintage quilt. So that is Mabel's little closure. On the front here I have used this, it's not an applique, it's a piece of something, but I just loved the flower aspect, and also a little piece of a embroidery magazine that was just sort of sitting on my desk, and I felt even though it's sort of sideways that it added a bit of interest and balanced the colour of the little applique at the top. There's some bling on there as well because I thought that was kind of cute to add. And you just keep adding and moving things around until you like what it looks like. And that's when you've found your balance, I think. So inside I have used vintage wallpaper that's just naturally aged, and it is embossed. An applique sewn onto some French dictionary. I've used Locta papers throughout the journal. There are some tuck spots and pockets, so that's a little lace pocket. And I did have a go at dyeing pages with rose petals, and it sort of came out tea-stained looking with a mauve sort of texture to it. I won't be doing it again. I'm going to stick with avocado dye and tea staining from now on, but it was fun to have a go. But I've included some of those papers in Mabel. This is an antique receipt, and that's actually in pencil, so you could rub that off if you didn't want to write over the top. I have a pink pastel printable kit that has an avocado dyed page as one of the pages in the kit. So I've used that and printed it on the back, and these rose cards on the other side. So I've used 4 of those in signatures in this journal. So I will link that kit in the description box below. A little tab of bling just to tie in the bling on the front here, and it's sort of hidden as well. It adds that idea of layering, and that's on the other side of the receipt. This is a Victorian calling card, and it actually has Stella on. It's Stella's calling card, and I should have put that in a previous mini journal called Stella, but it is in Mabel. Maybe they were friends. Some at the other side of that, Locta paper and the dictionary. I used a little fabric snippet here to add some texture, and that's on a receipt. This was going to just be a piece of ephemera collaged on, but it's big enough for a pocket, so I turned it into one. This is another piece of that Locta paper. This is the embroidered tab for this journal, and I think this is like a hydrangea, and all these little French knots are mini blossoms, or yeah, as part of the flower. So that's the tab there, and there's a little pocket there on some of that magazine paper. A Will's cigarette collector's card. That is Amy Robsart Rose, and I've added a Tim Holtz tiny attacher, or a mini paper clip with some lace on the side. I really like that to add some interest out the side of the journal. And rather than using roses in every single signature center, I have used some of the wallpaper from the printable kits as well. So that's a little piece of wallpaper with the avocado printed on the other side. A very delicate piece of lace, and I really love this beaded charm here. It's the only one, but I just love how it sort of adds a little bit of interest, and I also love the color. I think it ties in with the journal really beautifully. You can take that off if it's annoying too. And the other side of those pages, I used a piece of beautiful old trim or bobbin lace at the start of this signature, because I like how it sort of blends the signatures together. A little piece of collaging, maybe to start off a whole page of collaging, or just to add some interest to that page. That is another Victorian calling card with a little butterfly, and another Tim Holtz attacher with some lace. A French receipt from 1900, a very grungy one with lots of different stamps and signatures. That's another rose card, and I liked using this waxed linen because it sort of looks like it's wrapped around the roses like a bouquet. Little piece of trim here. A lot of these things that I put in these minis, I sort of have left over from other things, and they're the perfect size because you're not having to sort of tear things up into a smaller size. And that's the trim at the end of that signature. This is the little piece of artwork, watercolor painting that I did for Mabel, and I managed to get a butterfly into the journal. I'm really loving watercolor butterflies at the moment. I think they're more forgiving for my very loose novice style, and I've just added a little bit of Posca pen detail to it, and I did some splattering. It was accidentally on purpose. This splatter was an accident. After I'd done the body, I bumped my hand, and I thought, oh, actually that's now a happy accident, because I just splattered the rest of the paint through, which is kind of cool because some of the lighter splatters hit the side of the butterfly, and it sort of bled. So I really love, it's a shabby butterfly. A shabby chic watercolor butterfly. There you go. So there'll definitely be more of those because I had fun doing that one. Some gorgeous vintage wallpaper with a gold shimmer. That's sort of pulling that little bit of bling on the cover into the journal as well. And a tea-stained doily there, and some really gorgeous Locta paper. So soft. If I had to wrap myself in paper, it would be this kind. I just thought of that then. I thought I would share my mental processing while I'm filming. I think of things at the same time. Another lace pocket there on some old French book page. Another gorgeous rose card in the center. Another very delicate lace tab. That page kind of turned out with a really cool mauve sort of colour, but there were very different results with the rose petal dyeing. And that's the end of that signature. 1916 that receipt was from. A snippet of tea stained fabric just to add some texture and layer at the start of the next signature. 1945 this receipt was from. That's the original stamp. Another Will's cigarette collector's card. They are the perfect size for these small journals. You could actually use that as a template to make more journaling cards to put in this one, and a little bow from some vintage twine on the side there. Braille paper, a little collaging there, maybe to start off a page. Another rose card. I just love those roses. And with that kit, I actually digitally layered it onto some avocado dyed paper, so it all sort of ties in. A lace snippet down the side, and that's the end of that signature, and this sort of blends into the next one. That is a piece of vintage ephemera, I think from a fashion magazine. Another piece of the Locta paper. They're all different designs on the Locta paper. Another Will's cigarette collector's card, the Queen Alexandra rose in a really sweet lace pocket there. And with this piece of ephemera, I think it's ledger, rather than pulling the bottom off because it was too big and then creating another snippet, I decided to make a tuck spot. So you could glue that down or just right over the top of it. A little collage there, and that's some more of that wallpaper from the printable kit. This is the other side, so that's a nice pocket there as well. A lace tab. I do like to add tabs and ruffles. The idea was that the mini journals wouldn't have that because it makes it heavy, and I wanted them to be light and sort of loose, but my usual style just trickles in, and there ends up being, you know, beads and lace bits. That's okay. And that's the other side of all of those pages, and that's the back cover. So you could, if you wanted to, actually glue or stick a flip out or a tip in at the start here if you wanted to add a space for journaling or setting the intention for the journal, which I think is a nice idea. So any permanent craft glue would be okay with that, because the wallpaper is sort of a paper base. So just doing little Mabel up there. She's a little cutie. So yes, thank you for watching, and hopefully I've inspired some creative ideas with you. Bye.